The appeal to procreation against homosexuality is overemphasized reasoning, ignoring rationality and ethics. Human sexuality outweighs personal prejudices, e.g., my religion says. Distinguishing between what is true and what you want to be true shapes policy and real-world outcomes globally. First, the claim that sex is for reproduction relies on assuming the consequence is the cause, but fails due to not all heterosexual relationships reproducing. The result is infertile relationships are wrong. For example, many people are past reproductive age. It assumes these are inferior circumstances, creating a conundrum. A better view is that reproduction is not the standard. Therefore, appealing to procreation is negligible. Second, the claim that sex serves only one purpose relies on ignoring all the other purposes it serves, which fails due to emotional intimacy, pair bonding, affection, stress relief, and mutual pleasure. The result is long-term relationships especially have it for pleasure over procreation. It assumes sex isn't necessarily for reproduction, creating a clearer view of the whole process. A better view is reproduction is not necessarily moral. Therefore, non-reproductive sex might actually be the moral act. Third, the claim that reproduction necessarily follows from sex relies on a conclusion that does not logically follow, which fails due to a lack of additional premises. The result is non-reproduction is neither here nor there. For example, would non-sexual reproduction be immoral? It assumes that there even is morality to sex, creating a non sequitur. A better view is that sex is neither moral nor immoral. Therefore, such moral judgments are not worth considering. Fourth, the claim that overlooks natural variation relies on projecting the black and white assumption of human options onto the broader natural world, which fails due to more copulation for the population even among other species. The result is even if sex is necessary for reproduction, reproduction is not necessary for sex. For example, dolphins, monkeys, and bats do it for socialization, pleasure, and stress relief. It assumes that sex for the purpose of reproduction is the actual unnatural view, creating a problem for appealing to nature for moral absolutes. A better view is the variance of reasons is the true natural view. Therefore, the nature of sex is relative. Fifth, the claim opposes same-sex parenting, relying on adoption, fostering, surrogacy, and previous heterosexual relationships, which fails due to gay and lesbian couples producing the same results as straight couples. The result is LGBT plus families are just as stable as bio-straight families. For example, most children brought up in such households attest to growing up with more than enough TLC. It assumes that these households are actually good for children, creating a vacancy for non-traditional structures. A better view is that maybe these families are preferable to the traditional unit. Therefore, opposition is just homophobia. Sixth, the claim is inconsistent because it relies on double standards, which fail due to gay and lesbian relationships checking enough boxes to make them equivalent to straight relationships. The result is gays and lesbians are alternatives to, not deviations from heterosexuality. For example, more opposite sex couples splitting up over same-sex affairs rather than the other way around. It assumes that gay and lesbian might actually be more natural, creating a very weak spot for the moralizers. A better view is that it's all very natural. Therefore, nature gives it a thumbs up. Seventh, the claim undermines biology being broader than morality, relying on dictating it rather than obeying it, which fails due to one deluding themselves with subjective opinions over objective facts. The result is cognitive dissonance leading to prejudice and hostility. For example, legislating subjective opinions to pretend they're objective facts. It assumes that projection is actually reflection, creating a world that you think you are conforming to. A better view is that you're mentally ill and need help. Therefore, we need a diagnosis, not laws. To conclude, natural law theory is a moral framework fails given natural law and moral law are more at odds in this sense despite reproduction is a natural act because all such things being natural making them moral is the most reasonable interpretation, the overall conclusion holds true.